I remember that leaving the hospital that night and I went to a party. All things. My dad just died. I started drinking, and I've never told this story on camera. So go to this party, everybody's drinking. Like, I'm not a big drinker. I'm shooting up. That's my thing. Like, I just want to shoot pills or shoot heroin or do meth, whatever. And we go to this party, everybody's drinking, and I remember I kicked my shoe off for some reason. And I had my syringe, I had my rig in my shoe. And one of the people at the party was like, "Oh, hell no, you ain't bringing that up in here." And they kicked me out. And I was like, "Can somebody give me a ride? Like, I'm having a terrible day. Like, Dad just died. Yeah. I've kicked out of the party." And they shut the door on me, man, at this hotel. Oh, and wouldn't let me back in. So I go stab the girl's tires. All 4 tires.
Jesus.
Take my pocket knife out and stab all 4 of her tires. Anyhow, she's forgiven me since then. But that, man, I was just how chaotic my friggin' life was. Yeah. And so
damn.
Went straight back to it, man. Straight back to the chaos. And this goes on, but it was to another level now because I didn't know how to process that. I didn't know how. That's the first time I'd ever, obviously, losing my dad, closest person to me, you know, and I didn't know how to deal with those things. And so the only thing I did know how to do was drugs, right? And to lean back into that and to chase that high and to numb that pain. Only except this time, like, I was so hopeless that I didn't give a crap if I lived, you know, and it was like, can I kill myself like by overdose through using drugs? And that's kind of what I started to do, man. Like, I eventually overdosed like 6 different times.
Jeez.
And in November of 2016, I remember loading a syringe with heroin and meth, and it was a lot. It was a lot. And I remember thinking to myself, this is probably going to kill me. And I wanted that to happen. And I remember sitting in my bathroom, again, looking at a syringe. And I was like, oh, screw it. Hell with it, you know. So I shot up and went into immediate overdose. I had a bunch of people partying at my house at that moment. And everybody leaves except the girl I was dating at the time and a guy that I grew up with. And everybody just, you know, leaves me there. They drag me to the bathroom, drag me to the bathtub, and they're pouring ice water on me. They know how to do CPR, so they're just pouring ice water on me, trying to get me to come back. Call the ambulance. You know, EMT gets there, and one of the EMT workers starts just working on me, man, and just not giving up on me. You know, that's looking back now, like it's so crazy to think about that story. But I'm unresponsive. I haven't had a heartbeat in like a couple minutes. So she calls the ER doctor and she's like, he's not responding to the Narcan. And the doctor's like, if you have more Narcan, I give it to him. Don't stop working on him. So she does. Finally come to.
So you're like flatlined.
Oh, I was flatlined.
Oh my gosh.
My eyelids were blue. My lips were blue. My ears were blue. Like I was gone, man. Like if she wouldn't have given that last kid an Narcan, I wouldn't be here today.
That's crazy.
And little did I know, again, one of those God moments, Jeremy, and I was never a person of faith, right? I didn't grow up in that. Like it just wasn't important. Went to church here and there, like on holidays or something, but just seeing, man, like these divine interventions happening. But come to find out, that woman would become my mother-in-law.
Whoa.
That's Caitlin's mom.
Really? The medic.
The medic that saved my life.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I had no idea. Like, so
Cherokee. You said Cherokee is a small town.
It's a small town. So anyways, you know, that that I get up, I wake up from that overdose, come to, run everybody off.
Do you remember like that experience from like the moment you shot up to like being woken up? Like,
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened in between?
I do. Like I don't remember them working on me or anything. Like I was
Okay.
out for that, obviously. But I remember shooting up and I come out of the bathroom. I'm like staggered around and they said I just dropped to the floor. And I remember waking up and I was soaking wet and I was like sitting up against the wall because when I woke up I was like really combative because you go into immediate withdrawal when they give you Narcan. So you're really combative and like ready to fight and everything. So that's how I was. I remember waking up like that and I was like, everybody get the F out of my house. I don't want help. I'm fine. Y'all need to leave. So I run everybody off and go right back to it. So
when that happens, obviously you have like illegal drugs in the house. Do they like? I mean, you were just dead. Like
everything was here
shortly.
By that time, they'd put everything.
Okay,
out.
so they didn't like. There were cops there, like trying to.
Cops were there. They were like, "You need to listen to the EMT. You need to go to the hospital." And I was like, "I don't need to listen to nobody. Y'all need to get out of my house."
Jeez, man. Because I was gonna say I couldn't imagine if like you were literally dead.
Yeah.
They bring you back and they're like, "Oh, also you OD'd on these drugs. Now we gotta take you to jail." It's
Yeah.
like, but that didn't happen.
No.
Okay.
No.
So, some good news, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it probably would have been better if they took me to jail.
Yeah.
They did to protect you.
Oh, okay.
Like, because people won't call to get help if you get
Right.
arrested.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, that'd definitely deter people. Like,
Yeah.
your friend's dying, but you don't want to get in trouble. Like, okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So this is like
Jeez.
November 16. January of 17, or it might have been February. My mom's got the video. February 7th, 2017.
Dude, that's not that long ago.
No,
That's so crazy.
I had done the same thing. Only except this time, it was more of like a meth overdose. Like I was overheating, my brain swelling, heart rate won't come down, and a cop intervened. Buddy, I played football with. Actually, he was a Cherokee police officer. He and I played football together, and he got in the back of the ambulance with me. And I remember him talking to me. He's like, "Kallup, like, what the fuck?" I mean, that's what he said to me. He's like, "What are you doing, man?" And he was crying. Seeing this grown man cry. Special forces guy, just a badass dude. Like, thinking back now, I'm like, man, I was in a bad place for him to be like pleading with me, to try to change, man. And so take me to the hospital. I had warrants, and he actually told me this story recently. Like, we were at a 5K together and we walked, and he was telling me this story. And he was like, "You had warrants and I got in trouble because I didn't take you to jail." He's like, "But you didn't need jail. Like, you needed to go to the hospital and you needed to get help. Like, jail wasn't going to help you rehabilitate."
Yeah.
And so he gets in trouble and actually gets reprimanded for like taking me to the hospital and riding in the ambulance with me. And so my mom records the video, and I share this on my Instagram from time to time. But she records a video of me just like what is it called? Meth mites. Like, it's called meth mites. Like, you're picking at your skin and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm laying in the hospital bed and I'm overdosing and stuff still, and I'm picking at my skin and everything. My mom takes this video though because she thought it was going to be the last time that she see me alive, and she wanted to use my story to help somebody else. So this is February 2017. Right after she took that video, I told her, I was like, "Go get me something to eat." She leaves, go get something to eat. I call the nurse in there and I'm like, "I'm leaving AMA against medical advice." I was like, pull these IVs out. I'm gone. And so I do. Like, I remember leaving the hospital in a gown only, with warrants, on the run, and I'll leave the hospital. I'll run to the nearest gas station, and I call my mom. And I'm like in a hospital gown, hiding behind the counter of the gas station.
Oh,
and the girl I had went to school with and grew up with was the clerk at the gas station. And she was like freaked out, seeing me like this, because we grew up together, rode the same school bus and everything, graduated, and here I am strung out, in the store she's working at. So I call my mom, and she comes pick me up, takes me back home. and I leave. She was trying to like just help me detox. I remember waking up, man. I fell asleep for a little while. Waking up, stole a bunch of my nieces and nephews' clothes to go sell. Put them in backpacks and leave. And shortly after that, I finally get arrested. Like I have all these warrants stacked up, absconding, not checking in with my probation officer, high-speed chases. I'd run from the cops. I was telling you and Matt that story. You know, getting a high-speed chase in a vehicle, get out on foot, run on foot. So I had the ability to run, obviously.
Yeah. You've always had that going for you.
Yeah, I just didn't know what it was going to take me to where I am today. But
it's a little different when you have a bib on in a race.
But they end up. I was talking to a girl, and I was going to thinking I was going to hook up with her. Right, I was going to go meet her, scoop her up, bring her back to my sister's house where I was partying, and she sets me up, and she's got charges. She ended up passing away due to complications from her drug addiction. But anyway, she sets me up, and I remember getting down there. It's so weird. I don't ever really go into the details of this story, but I remember sitting there, and I kept messaging her, and I'm like, "Where are you at?" Like she kept saying she's going to be there. I'm right there. I'm right there. She never shows up, and then finally she pulls up, and she goes across the road, and there's like these like storage buildings. And I'm like, why? And I remember messaging her. I was with my aunt, who I made her drive me down there. I said, I'm either still in your car or you're taking me down there to meet this girl. And so she's like, she's older, and bless her heart, man. I can't believe I put her through that traumatic experience. But the girl pulls up finally, and I'm like, why are you sitting across the road? And then all of a sudden, like 5 cop cars come out from behind the storage buildings.
Jeez.
And they surround us, and she pulls off. And I'm like, man, got him.
Dude, that's like out of a movie.
It is. Yeah. So they surround the car. They're coming up, got the guns drawn and everything.
Dude, they really wanted to get you.
Oh, man, listen, they don't like when you run from them and make them look like, idiots. So like you got them chasing you all over the place. They really frown upon that stuff. But so come up to the vehicle, and I remember, like I said, it's February. No, it's March. It's March. It was like a month after I left the hospital. So I was on the run for another good month. And I remember like them handcuffing me, and I'm looking at the river, and I'm like, man, I think I can make a break for it. And I was going to jump. That's where my mind was at. I'm going to jump in the river and just float until I could get there. That's what the tape that was playing through my mind. And I remember the cop, Andy Bryant, who I'm good friends with his brother, but he looks at me, he's like, Kallup, don't even think about it. And so takes me to jail, and the magistrate comes to my holding cell, slides my charges up under the door.
So that wasn't the first time?
No, man, I was in and out of jail numerous times. I don't know, probably 15 times. Probably 10 to 15 times at that time.
Dang. But was this the last?
This is the last time.
The last one.
This is the last time I was incarcerated. So, in that holding cell, get that bond, realize I'm not going anywhere. They put me down into CPOD, Swain County Detention Center in Bryson City, North Carolina. And little did I know that this is going to be where my life would turn around. So a couple weeks into my jail stay, I was waiting. I had some charges in another county for possession of heroin and carrying a concealed firearm. So I was looking at 6 to 17 months state time. And I remember about a couple weeks into my stay, man, I'm starting to journal, just writing down my thoughts. And first time I've ever done that, and which is a very powerful tool, you know what I'm saying? So,
and you have to be sober in jail, right?
Yeah. Well, there's ways that you can get drugs in there. Like one of the things that some of the guys that I was doing time with, they were getting Suboxone.
What is that?
Suboxone is a medication-assisted treatment for opioid addiction, but it actually blocks the opioid receptors and like keeps you from getting high. But if you use Suboxone, like it does kind of give you this high, right? It just helps you gives you a lot of energy. So they were getting Suboxone mailed in, and they're like these little bitty thin strips that you put under your tongue, and they were putting them behind stamps. So people were mailing them letters, and there's Suboxone behind the stamps. So that was happening, but I didn't want it. Like things started to change and shift, right? And in my mind, and I was just like drying out and starting to think a little bit more clearly for the first time in my life. And I was having to come to terms with what my life had become.
How long after getting arrested? Was it jail or prison?
Just jail.
Jail. Okay. Jail. How long did it take for you to start kind of turning over?
So I was arrested around March 16th, and this happened about 3 weeks in. I started really leaning into this journaling thing and writing down my thoughts, and this is when the shift happened, man. But the divine intervention, like I started crying out to God, and I remember writing this letter. And you can see, I let Caitlin read these letters recently for the first time. You can see this shift happen in the way that I was speaking. Like I was talking about like GD this, F this, like just talking about getting out, ripping and running, hitting the streets again, to this moment to where I'm like, God, like show me that my dad is still with me somehow. And in that moment, I remember writing that down, and it was just the sequence of events, how it unfolded. It's just so profound. And again, man, just a divine intervention. Like I remember writing that out, and I lay my pen down and I walk upstairs to grab something. This jail minister had came in like on every Wednesday. That was his schedule. But this is the only time that he broke that tradition. He was on a Friday. And he said that he was at a hospital seeing somebody, and he was just like, I felt like God put it on my heart and he'd come down to the jail. So in that moment that I'm praying this prayer, writing this out, like he is getting this call or whatever to come down to the jail. And so I lay my pen down, I walk upstairs, and I come back down the steps, and he walks into the jail. Walks into my pod, and I remember seeing him for the first time, and just what he was wearing, man, it was like a striking resemblance of my dad. Like his mustache is trimmed the same way. He's got the same type of eye color. He's got the same flannel shirt. His belt's the same. Like the pants, his shoes. He wore his watch on the inside of his wrist like my dad used to, and about the same age as my dad. His mustache is trimmed the same. Everything, man. It's just such a striking resemblance. And I remember what I had just prayed, and then he shows up. And so it didn't really hit me, but he came in and just shared the gospel, right? Like everything, and he shared it very simple. Everything that I was carrying was not mine to carry. Like God would take all that pain, all that trauma, all those mistakes, and if I would surrender and just give that to him and allow him to work in my life, that everything could change. And so, I came to faith, gave my life to Christ in that moment. And I remember the exhilarating feeling of freedom I've never felt in my entire life. Like I knew everything had changed, and it's like the quote, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I was ready, man. I was broken. This is the bottom. Like there was no way. I couldn't go any lower,
How old were you when all this was happening?
31.
31. Dude.
So I went through a long time, man. I got it wrong for a long time. A lot of mistakes, a lot of bottoms.
I mean, that's 20 years from
first time I really got.
When you were 11, yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. 2 decades, man. And I mean, just like everything, all the pain, all the freaking disappointment, everything I inflicted on other people who love me, everything I inflicted on myself, man. 2 decades of that, not being there for my sons, like all the mistakes, man. It's been a lot, you know. And
you're 37 now?
37.
Dude, 6 years ago is not that long ago.
It's not.
That's so crazy. Like, the person that you're now sitting here, I could never, just 6 years ago, it doesn't make sense in my head that, like, that was you 6 years ago. Like,
Nobody, like,
it doesn't make sense.
Anybody I talk to and we share our stories with, they're like, I just can't see you like that.
No, not at all.